Welcome back to Minus 16, the podcast where we talk tech and also, as you know, the business of YouTube. And it turns out we've got some business of YouTube to talk about a little bit later on.
And lots of new tech.
Lots of new tech. And also, one less creator. We're down a man. We're
I'll
down
just
a
do
wheel.
a little preview. Sure, too much.
Yes, we're going to be doing previews of what we can talk about. And yes, we're missing Daniel. He sounded rough as rope. He messaged us earlier this morning. He did not sound good. So Daniel, hope you get better soon, mate.
Like he's been on a massive
night out,
boozy night.
Yeah, but we're being told it's a chess thing. But he was well enough in the message he recorded for us. Yeah, he was well enough in the message he recorded to say that he'd be well enough to tell me how bad the iPhone 16 is in a couple of weeks' time.
I just saw a picture on Instagram of him going wild in a nightclub in Australia. So I think it'll be fine.
Anyway, how are you, Alex?
I'm good, man. Overworked, underpaid, the usual.
Yes. Well, we'll get onto that when we talk about YouTube because things have changed for me a bit, and now I'm getting more used to working with sponsors and finding out the stresses or the difficulties or the.
It's exciting, but it's stressful. Yeah.
It's a different nuance it brings to it, which I'll talk through to you, particularly dedicated videos. There was something that came to me. I've just done my first dedicated, and I now realise there's something else you have to kind of build in with that. But we'll get to that in a minute.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Where shall we start? I mean, obviously, we're going to begin talking about the Apple event, which we know is coming.
Yeah, we've got to start that.
So, the date to announce, Monday 9th, 6 o'clock in the evening as normal. Pre-recorded event, of course.
Oh, hang on. It's Monday, though, right? Not Tuesday.
Tuesday, yes. Which was really handy because I put up my video last week with Tuesday the day after that video went live. I did put underneath to be confirmed, so I did try to cover myself. But yes, so it's now Monday, not Tuesday. So I haven't got a calendar in front of me, but I assume that would be then that if we're getting the... so I go for September. So if it's the 9th, I imagine we'll be releasing the phones on the 13th and in our hands on the 20th. Yeah, is kind of what I'm thinking. Is what it's going to be. So we've got content going out of our ears for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah,
so I guess
September is going to be busy.
It's going to be busy. And I've heard content creators mention this in the past, and I didn't really fully understand the party. Now I get the party. As you know, I've just come off a meeting with somebody, so I kind of understand what's expected, what the drill is.
Yeah, the process is actually nice when the brand kind of beforehand either gives you some of the guidelines of what their product will do, how they came in, to the product, how they developed it, what the thought process was. It's nice. I think that even though you might not mention the whole thing in your video, it gives you some of the rationale behind why that feature is there or why that product is that way. So exactly
what I was just saying to them. Should we mention who I'm doing talking to? I don't know if we should or not.
I wouldn't. No.
So no, but
it's probably embargoed as well.
It's that's what I said to them. It's that it helps an awful lot to know what you want me to make content about, what you want me to feature, what the new developments are this year over last year, what the iterative changes are. So yeah, it really does help. The first time a brand has done that with me is to actually sit down with me and go through. And okay, it's a long meeting, but I've got a really good idea now of what they want me to talk about. So yeah. Interestingly, you and I have in our hands an iPhone 16.
16 Pro Maxes.
Yeah, I've got Pro Maxes. The cat is very much out of the bag now. So I suppose on the front, the bezels are slightly slimmer.
Can I just say before we go into the detail, what an amazing design, right? So fresh.
Yeah, there's not a lot different. I'm going to grant you. There's not a lot. I mean, I went for the fact that the bezel is, maybe a few millimeters slimmer. That's kind of all I've got.
I'm pumped. This is so new.
Well, yeah, there
Slight
you go.
Tone of sarcasm in there. I don't know if you picked it up.
It's there's not a lot to talk about on the outside really, apart from the one new button that we've got.
Yes, which I only just realized about a minute ago. There's a new. What do they call it?
The capture button. The capture button is now a thing, which I don't know how well that's showing.
I'll
but
try and show you. It's kind of difficult here.
Yeah.
Nope, it's not going to happen.
No.
I'll put a B-roll in there.
So, yes, we know the capture button is a certainty now. It's been talked about. And if you haven't been catching up with all the Apple rumors, it's basically where you half press it and it acts like it would on a DSLR camera. You focus up on that. And I think you can roll on it to zoom in and out as well. I think that's the idea. You can roll over it.
Oh, that's useful. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that is going to be well, certainly something I want to feature in the content I make on it when I get my hands on the phone. I think there's meant to be small changes to the sensor on the main camera, and I think we're getting an ultra wide improvement as well. I think there's a new ultra wide sensor coming,
Yeah.
so you can shoot 48 megapixel images on the 0.5 camera this year.
Do you
So
think they will use that I keep calling it the shutter button, but the capture
capture,
button
yeah, yeah.
as a touch ID as well? Do you reckon or no?
Oh, that would be
Because
good.
that would be all. I mean, I've got that on the Fold, and that is
Mm.
such a clutch. I mean, yeah. I
That
wonder
yeah. Actually, talking about IDs and
because
unlocking,
it's at the right place as well for
it
your
is
for your thumb, right?
totally, yeah, because it's unlike last year with the action button being at the top there, which is particularly on the Pro Maxes is too high up. There,
Yeah.
it's at a perfect position, isn't it? It really is.
Mm.
So yeah, that would be super handy. Have you got any idea why on Macs we haven't got Face ID? By the way,
No,
why
no,
is that
no
not a
idea.
thing? Because
Yeah.
surely the minute you open a lid up on a laptop, if it had Face ID, boom.
Yeah,
I
and
was
that's
writing
what
back.
lots of Windows laptops do. Yeah,
Well,
I
I just
don't
mentioned
know.
it on a video I'm still editing at the moment. I was like, why haven't we got? I'm sure I was overlooking something, and somebody was going to be really smart and say, "Well, it's because of this," but you can't work it out either.
I don't know. I do remember when he first started to come out. I'm not even sure if it was Max, but it was the issue that you could show a printed photo of someone and unlock the device. So maybe their concerns around that,
Oh,
that maybe it's not accurate enough. Who knows?
who
Because
knows?
you can pay for things on a browser.
Yeah,
So maybe that's a security thing. I'm really not sure.
just a little aside. So yes, nothing radical to talk about other than the capture button
So
and
the capture button, though, just to kind of obviously taking my sarcasm out of the way,
mm,
it is a feature. So if this was my first iPhone or an iPhone that that I'm upgrading from a very old like
mm,
iPhone 12 or iPhone 11,
mm,
this would be a really awesome feature because I've had this on my last two. Well, this is my actual Sony Xperia phone. Last year I tried one,
mm,
but yeah, that feature is so handy because not all photos. I mean, most of the photos you take, you do press, even though it has the shutter, I do to press the button to take the
yeah,
photo.
yeah,
Um, but when you want to take that shot, that is like is the one shot you've been waiting for, is like that one that you kind of want to print or something. It's nice to have that shutter because you can then like soft press to focus and then press again, just like a normal camera.
exactly.
And it does, it does remove a little bit of movement as well when you're taking the shot. It's a well thought out feature, but
So do they have that
I
on the
just
Sony
can't
then?
get past the fact that the iPhone looks the same.
Yeah, but well, we knew there was no changes coming. Have they got the capture button or something equivalent on the Sony then, did you say?
Oh yeah. That's always been a thing on the Xperia.
Right,
Yeah.
right, okay.
So Apple are not innovating here; they're
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
copying. But yeah, that is a thing, and it's right there. In fact, on the if you put the Sony case on it,
Mm-hmm.
it has also a little bit of a kind of an elevated bit here, so
Mm-hmm.
it's even more like a camera when you're using with a case.
As you say,
Um,
I think also the fact that it's going to help with the balance and so on, I think that's going to be a great thing because it will make it a
yeah,
very steady phone to hold, won't it?
yeah, I love that, and I love the fact that it kind of almost encourages you to take photos that way.
Well,
So
yes.
of
And
course
you,
you can still do it that way, but I think unless you're left-handed, right? Because left-handed people would have to use
we don't need to talk about
their
left-handed people. They're just
yeah.
wrong.
Well,
Um,
they're people too. Left-handed people matter.
the amount of excuses you get from left-handed people, I can't iron, I can't do this, I can't do that because it's all left. Anyway,
But I just
yes, obviously they're trying to push us to take more landscape pictures for spatial. That's, I'm sure, part of the reason they want to push us towards spatial.
I like that. Yeah,
And I
as
took
how our eyes see the world. That that the aspect ratio of your vision is a little bit like that.
I took two friends up to
Unless
Apple
you,
Battersea at the weekend. So I booked them in for a demo on Vision Pro. So this time I was able to sit back and watch, and their
mm,
reactions were just amazing. They've slightly changed the demo material because it's really good. One of the guys working for Apple let me sit and look at his iPad as he was running through the demo with them. But watching their reactions
mm,
from the outside was just amazing. I
right.
won't ruin it for people that haven't been
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
but there were parts where you're so immersed in it and you kind of lurch and fall back. But it was just interesting watching their reactions this time.
Okay, but being honest, right? So you now tried this thing a few times. once that wears off, right? That novelty aspect wears off. Do you feel like you would like pick it up every day and use it every day, or was it going to be one of those cool things that you tried first, like amazing, and then you go, what now?
My
What you know?
my take on it at the moment is that we are not ready for it. I think the technology now. Okay, for reference, I haven't got a comparison. I haven't worn another headset, but assuming that's probably about as good as it gets.
Mm,
Yeah, it's stunning, and it takes reality to another level. And the
mm.
fact that
Okay.
what I saw blew me away. But can I see myself using it? No. No, I just don't know where it would fit into my day. We moan about an iPad. Well, it's almost like another version of that. It's kind of where's that honestly going to fit into my day? Yes, movies
Yeah.
look fantastic in it, but if you've only got one in the household, you're going to be cutting out the other people that are around at home. And also, of course, even though you and I spend probably 80% of our day sitting alone in a room anyway, with
Yeah.
that on, you're cutting out daylight as well. You are really, really alone. And I don't know if I want that experience.
No, no, and I think on those winter months when you're not really leaving the house that much, I can see as an entertainment thing. But again, if you're with a family, you're gonna need three of those, four of those, right? So,
Yeah, it racks up quickly. And again, I
unless
mean,
you're gonna exclude yourself from the family.
the environments they put you into work in, yeah, are amazing, but
Mm,
and they are very, very, very real. But do they beat daylight coming through a window? No. And so,
mm,
even if we're in a short winter's day, I'd rather see night go to day and see what's happening outside if it's raining or
mm.
hail than
Yeah,
just be sitting on a beach somewhere in the world. As beautiful as it is, and as great as it is to your emotions, and you honestly think you can feel where you're sitting, I still want a bit of real world. So no, it stunned me, but it's I can't see it just for the time being.
no. Let's go back to the iPhone a little bit before we move
Yes,
on, because I
yeah.
think I'm just I had to bust out my 15 Pro, which
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie, it's a beautiful device. And in fact, I wish I had gone for the Pro instead of the Pro Max.
Mhm.
And I probably would have still be keeping this. I mean, there's no SIM card in this now. I use
Mm.
it for managing my Apple
Account.
ecosystem
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
when I use it. But I think one of the things that I can't get past is the fact that it just it's very stagnant, right, in terms of design and iOS as well. I don't know if you've tried iPadOS
I
or
haven't.
iOS 18.
I didn't put it on phone purely because I was worried about the banking apps. Everything else I probably could have got away with, but I didn't want to risk any bugs on banking apps. I didn't.
But I'm just curious, right? Because obviously in the last few years I've been experiencing other devices out there, Samsung's, Google, and Sony's and all that. So I kind of got kind of used to trying different things, and I still want to try even other
Something.
products too, like from other brands. But I just wonder if other people feel the same way. Like if you've used iPhone for a long time, do you feel like this is getting boring, or is it just a familiarity thing that you actually appreciate the fact that it's not changing? Because maybe
Good point.
I'm
Yeah.
being a little bit too like expecting too much, but
Mm.
maybe people like the fact that it's a familiar look and feel, and that's nice. Maybe maybe that's
Yeah,
it.
I think that's kind of me. Is I had a play with Android, and I think just coming back to it, the iPhone felt like I was going home, and it just felt really comfortable to me. And that familiarity, I think, okay, I'm very, very at home with iOS and where to find things, and that's just years spent using it. But there were some design elements I loved on Android, but I think I don't know if iPhone users are looking for something slightly different. I know this year now with the new OS, obviously things are more customizable. The home screen is more customizable. The icons are, so we're beginning to make it more your own.
Hmm.
But I think iPhone users possibly do differ slightly from Android users. Android users very much want that customizable aspect. It'd be interesting to see how much iPhone users lean into that. And of which there was something I was, because I know you commute quite regularly into London and so on. And I was on the train into London a couple of weeks ago. And you and
Hmm.
I sit talking about new tech and the latest. And you sit in the real world and you realize people are still using iPhone 4, 5, 6s a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
We talk as if everyone is going to be going out and buying a 15 or 16. Actually, no, it's not the case, is it? A lot of people are still
No.
using very old phones.
Yeah, and that's becoming even more difficult, I think, for brands to to convince people to buy the latest and greatest, right? Because you are investing so much money in it, and you know, when there's not a lot of new things. I mean, I just really struggle in reality, right? If sometimes I think, when I'm writing my scripts or my videos, I always think, you know, if I wasn't doing these videos, what
Mm,
phone would I actually have personally?
mm, mm.
I probably right now in 2024, I'd probably be still on the 13 Pro Max. That's probably my kind of the balanced feature value for money sort of device that I would
Mm.
still have. There would be no
Which
reason for me to go to 14 or 15
you'll
as
still be
a
getting all of the updates.
um,
Okay, you'll lose a few of the new functions that you can't use. But again,
yeah,
how many people regularly want to use ProRes Log? You know, it's a very small sect of people.
exactly. So I'm saying,
Yeah,
unless I'm doing these videos,
yeah.
it's
I
really
use it
rare.
for my
Yeah.
throwaway shots, sure, but you know, I'm not. I'm not. I was going to say I'm not average. You know what I mean? The uses
Mm,
I put my phone to aren't average, which
yeah.
is something I was going to briefly mention before we carry on talking about gears. And I mentioned to you just at the start before we started recording, saying how I use my phone. This
Mm,
definition of a pro user, because it was one of the videos I put up recently, and somebody
mm.
said, well, I don't know why you've got the pro. You're not even a pro level user. And I was thinking, well, okay, valid. I don't think he was being aggressive. I took it on the chin and said, well, what is a pro user then?
Yes, and I've heard the other side as well, which is, you know, you're trying to make it up that this device is for especially when it comes to iPads, that is a pro device. It's nothing to, you know, I've heard several in my latest video, lots of people saying,
Yeah, I watched that.
actually,
Yeah.
they just call it pro is just because it's their top of the line, it's the top
Mm,
range thing. It's not really a pro device. It's like, well, you can't have your cake and eat it, right? It's either a pro device or it's not. So my argument is, if it is just called pro because it's the top of the line, then, you know, maybe change the name, right? uh,
mm.
Ultra maybe, I don't know, but it's just, I do think that if you watch what they sell the device based on, even it's the same with the Watch Ultra, right? They sell it for people going on on a mountain, but it's to appeal to normal people. That sorry, if I can do that, then, you know, it'd be great for me. And
Yeah.
the iPad is the same. I think it's like, you know, if there's a person editing a video, if I watch that and go, all right, that's a pro using, so it'll be more than enough for me. The reality is, the minute you go to a little bit beyond intermediate level, it's not really, you know, you're gonna need a Mac. Um,
Yeah. 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 I
and,
mean,
and I'm not one of those that says, right, to to be considered a pro user, you know, I'm kind of hooking it up to a rig and doing all these crazy things that we see Apple do in their commercials. Um, and some people say, well, you know, that device has so much power now that it needs Mac OS to really become a pro
mm,
device. So
mm.
I'm not in that camp either. I think I'm actually quite happy with the hardware as it is, and I maybe add maybe an SD card slot
That
for
I'd like to see.
extended
Yeah. Yeah.
storage, or, you know, a
Hmm.
few more hardware features would be great. But don't care about the cameras too much. But I would say that uh, the link between the Mac and the iPad could be better, right? There could be something that, whilst you're not using Mac OS on the iPad, you
Mm,
are taking advantage of the fact that you've got both.
mm.
That would be great, because I don't know, Apple seem to be just kind of scared of cannibalizing sales on both sides, right? On not adding features to the Mac that would impact the
Benefit the
iPad and
iPad.
vice
Yeah.
versa.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, when you look at pro workflows, and I did that last year, and I repeated it this year, which is to ask my audience, right? I'm not a pro. I don't consider myself a pro user on the tablet.
Mm,
But for the pros out there, especially like in the creative space, let me know what apps you use, and, you know, a few websites that I can go in and try to learn. So I did a bit of coding, I did a bit of 3D modeling, I did, like, you know, used like things like animation.
mm.
There are some really cool pro workflows, but 9 times out of 10, these will be in the creative space, maybe architecture as well.
Yeah.
There's some, like, you know, CAD drawing and things like that.
My
So
studio's
I've
above a
learned some
bunch of
really cool
architects.
things, and I've seen and experienced what it's like to use those 3D modeling tools and do some really crazy stuff in there.
Mm.
But music as well, right? There's a lot of pro um, music producers that are using the iPad, but, you know, and I say, okay, well, what is the limitation then? And
Mm.
for a digital artist, someone who's using Procreate, for example, the limitation is the size of the canvas and how many layers you can
Layers.
have,
Yeah.
and the limitation will be on memory. So, but right now the iPad is so capable that people are struggling to reach that limit. I think it can
Mm.
have, don't quote me on this, but it's
Is
about
it?
55
Yeah.
layers
Yeah.
of 8K canvases. An
Mm.
8K canvas and 50 layers. It's insane,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
People, so I kept asking people who know what they're doing. So, how can you see yourself actually reaching that limit? And they said
Mm.
it's going to be really hard. It's going to be very rare when you do. But true artists who are doing designs for clothing or designing for outdoor, like, things that are going to marketing materials, will be reaching near that limit. But
Mm.
it's such a tiny percentage of people that will be reaching that. And same for music editors. There'll be plugins and things like I've seen in video editing. It's like there are limits. There are, like, you can't add effects
No.
to that. There's the built-in stuff that at an intermediate level, basic level, will be good. But
Yeah.
the minute you want to do some crazy transitions, or the stuff that we paid motion VFX, for example, as a plugin, you've invested already in your Mac tools. It would
Yeah.
be nice to be able to use those
I mean,
on the
certainly in the
iPad.
Final Cut, when I was playing with it, there are some elements you get, for instance, music beds in there, as you know, which is quite a nice
Mm,
touch, which we don't get on the
yeah,
Mac, as far as I know. But I think it is clearly the fact they've done that. It shows that it's very much geared toward um, creators on a social level, social media. That's, I
yeah,
think,
yeah. Oh, you can run a
TikToks and
podcast
Shorts.
to it, right? You can run a video podcast
Yeah,
now
we're
with
both.
cameras linked to it, and yeah,
Absolutely. And I've tried the multicam feature in it an awful lot, and it's a really good solid feature. I mean, in a
mm,
couple of weeks' time, when my 16 actually lands, I'll have a 14 Pro, 15 Pro Max, a 16 Pro. I mean, I'll be able to do a 3-camera multicam shot, all
yeah,
set with the same white balance, all shot in ProRes log.
yeah.
It will look insane. And
And
yeah,
and
that
I and I do complain a lot, right? In my videos about the iPad Pro, but even
it
I
was a
have
good
to
video. I
admit that.
sat and watched that last weekend. Yeah,
Thank you. I mean, it's even I have to admit sometimes that, with since iPad OS 17, not the first one, but I think it was 17.4 by the time we got this done, which was the ability to connect an external display, whichever
mm,
display that is. I even tried on an 8K TV, and it was like boom, straight away, and it worked. No stretch, no black bars on the side, which was the thing up until then. But to get that, and I think that was literally just last year. So many years after we've been asking, and it's just too slow. But
mm.
Apple are, even I have to say that Apple are going in the right direction when it comes to just letting people do a little bit more with it. You can connect a DSLR camera to it now. You can,
I've not
connect it
tried
to a
that yet. Is
docking
that straightforward?
station.
I've not tried connecting my
Yeah,
Canon to
yeah,
it.
it
Yeah, yeah,
works.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I haven't tried it with like a live stream setup, but
Mm.
I tried in beta last year. It worked. I connected like a 4K like webcam to it,
Of course,
and that was seen in the browser as an additional camera. So
I've just thought in theory, the next podcast we do, I could put my cam link into the USB-C slot on the iPad, and I could run Riverside on the iPad through the browser and just do the whole session on the iPad.
just give it a go. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I
it
just
did
thought of
work
that.
in iPadOS 17, so I'm sure it's still there. And
Yeah.
but yeah, so they are going in the right direction. I think I could. I don't know. I just think it would be useful to have more freedom in Stage Manager. Again,
Mm,
it's a step in the right direction, but
mm.
it feels a little bit. I don't know what the word is, but it's a bit childish. Really, it wastes a lot of space in favor of aesthetics.
Split screen,
Where
I've found I've used quite a lot, but
yeah, yeah,
you'll get this. The one that I sit down to most days and wish it was the YouTube.
Ulysses.
Well, that is a pain in the ass, but also
Yeah,
YouTube Studio app is not supported with split screen. So if you want
no.
to have viewers' emails and comments one side and have it
Wouldn't it
open,
be awesome to do that?
oh,
Yeah, I
and that's
exactly.
not
I
the
don't
fault
know
of iPad.
why.
That is YouTube, isn't it? That's
Yeah,
they have made their app compatible with it, which I don't
and this
get.
is where when I say aesthetics in favor of functionality, right? Apple do favor that, and it's clear. Even the animations when you resize a window, it kind of tries to
Pop.
kind of, it makes you think that you've got the freedom, but actually no. Still Apple is still gonna go, no, I want it here, and it will
Yeah.
do this little pop. But I think, and if you compare with something like Dex,
Mhm.
it's not the prettiest looking interface. Gotta say, it looks pretty clunky actually when you have multiple windows. but it's entirely like to the pixel level. You can resize the window the way you want it, and if not if the app doesn't support it,
Hmm.
one UI will say, actually, do you want, and you can go into deep into the lab settings or whatever they call it, and say, actually, I want to be able to resize all the windows.
Mm.
There are limitations too. I think you can have maximum of 5 apps open, and if you open the sixth one, then the oldest app will
I
kind of
see. That's right. Yeah.
minimize. It
Yeah.
won't close; it will just minimize. So there are limitations, but you've got more freedom. And if when you're working, and this is only going to make sense for people who actually, you know, do multitasking. Like if you like me, 9 to 5, I will be working on Word, Excel, PowerPoint, a browser, lots of tabs open.
Mm.
YouTube will be open, Netflix sometimes. So there are people who go, I don't ever do that.
Mm.
I only use one app at a time, or maybe two.
No, I
So
mean,
I do understand that it's not for everyone.
it's not. It's got its limitations, and I know we've got to talk about what else we're going to be getting at the Apple event. But I mean, I've spent all summer working on the iPad now, so I wouldn't say I'm an expert by any stretch, but I kind of know what it's good for and where it fits
Mm,
into my day. But it's kind of a watered down version of what we were just saying about
yeah,
Vision Pro, is that I love using it. I really do enjoy using it. It's a different experience using it. And I think you made the point in your video as well that when you get the iPad out, you kind of know you're in a fractionally different workspace. You know you're
yes,
not fully in work mode. You're kind of
exactly.
doing a little bit,
That's
maybe answering some emails, maybe looking at some bank stuff, but you're not really heavily working.
Yeah. It took me a while. I had to ask myself, right? Because it's easy to say it's just an iPad. It's
Yeah.
fair, it's a bit true, but I always think, well, if I really ask myself, well, I like using it. So what is it about the iPad that makes me pick it up and use it in favor of any other device that I've got? And it is that fact that
Mm,
when you open it, and especially if you've got the latest Magic Keyboard, or even the previous one, to be honest, it puts you in a certain mood.
it
It's
does.
really hard to kind of, it's not tangible, but it makes you feel, oh, this is a relaxing experience. You might be at a
Exactly.
cafe or on your couch,
Yeah. I
but it's
mean,
just being able to write an article, or write a bit of script, or sometimes just watching content. But
yeah.
it just
Like
just makes you feel a bit more relaxed, and you're not like in full, let's be productive here.
like you, I often work carries over to home, and for the very longest time, I
Mm,
did a lot of work in my home studio. But since I've got the iPad, I've now try almost not to set foot in there when I'm home. I'll try to
mm,
just use the iPad in the living room, in the kitchen, and just dial it back a bit. I might spend a few more hours here, but at least I try to think now when I leave here, that's the
mm.
heavy lifting done for the day. After
Yeah,
that, it is just admin bits, or maybe shooting a bit of B roll on the way home. And
yeah.
yeah, it's a very privileged position to be in, to have a £2,500 tablet sitting there to use as a bit of fun. But it's
Mm,
definitely got its place, and I'm
mm.
glad I use it now. I'm glad I went ahead and got it. And also, to that point, iPad Mini. There's talk that there's a new iPad Mini possibly coming out of the event now.
I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, the current one is already a bit of a beast, right? It's got, is it the A15 Bionic chip on
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Versus the basic standard iPad, which is the A14
A14,
Bionic.
yeah.
So even the sixth gen is already a mini little beast that I've been tempted several times to get one, because I like the fold, and that size makes a lot of sense for me. So but if they come out, and if it's got like the M1, maybe, I don't know, what chip do you think
I
they would
they
have?
I would have thought they'd go M2, wouldn't they? I mean, we're getting to M4 on the Macs now, and obviously on our iPads we've got M4. But now, having used an iPad, if they
Mm.
bring out an iPad Mini, and the fact I've made so much content, I will 100% get one, because
Oh yeah, absolutely.
the
I mean,
comparison.
it would be a no-brainer, right? Because from a content perspective, but I think, yeah, M1 is already the cutover for iPadOS 18. So you're
Mm,
right. I think they probably wouldn't launch a new device with the M1, right?
and Apple's intelligence, of course. You know,
Yeah, that's the cutover for that. Yeah, for
yeah.
AI. Yeah.
So obviously, the iPad Mini will be heaven sent for Apple
Oh,
Intelligence,
that
and
would. Yeah, I'm just doing an iPad back to school video,
hmm
and I wish the iPad Mini was here, the new one, because I would be saying that's a serious recommendation, right? Because especially if you value portability. Not that you can't do stuff on the iPad Mini from a performance perspective, especially if it comes with the M2 with the M2 chip, which sounds crazy. Um, but yeah, yeah, if you want something almost like not as your main device, right? I don't see the iPad
mm,
Mini as your main thing. but it will be an additional maybe to your laptop, something that you can write on and make notes and just quickly browse stuff. Yeah, it's definitely
Talking
an
about
awesome
just being
iPad.
a couple of weeks out of sync, I'm going to this event this weekend. I think I mentioned to you just before we start recording, the Hampton
Mm.
Concours of Elegance. So it's these ridiculously gorgeous, expensive, rare vintage cars from around the world.
Hmm.
And if it was just 2 weeks later, can you imagine the camera day I could have on the 16? It would be perfect content. And I was thinking about taking a 15, but no one's going to watch it on an iPhone 15. But it's just
I would take you on the 15 and say there's a 16.
who's
No
going
one's
to?
gonna know
I could have it in the
exactly.
bank, couldn't I?
Who's
Shot an
gonna
iPhone
know?
16.
Is
Damn,
that meme, isn't it? Who's
you
gonna? They're gonna know.
you're
They're
you're
gonna know.
you're duplicious, man. I like it. So yes, just take my 15 with me at the weekend, and then in a couple of weeks' time, brand it as
It's
shot on
literally the
16.
same.
Yes, I can do a battery test on the 16 on the 15. I like it. Okay,
Yeah.
suddenly it's turned into a working day.
All you have to do is put the finger in there, like pretend that you've got
Yeah,
the
okay.
shutter.
Yeah, great idea. Okay. Lie my way to views. I like it. You've been still playing with the Garmin watch, haven't you? How are you getting on with that?
Yeah. Actually, right now I'm using the.
I saw that was
It's
back on
one
the
of those
list.
days that it's got enough battery. But no,
What
I've
makes
gone
you
back to
decide
my
between Garmin? What makes you decide between the Samsung Garmin or Watch Ultra?
100% the battery is the
Right.
first thing. Because, yeah, several times. I've had it for whenever the watch was launched, the Watch Ultra. More often than not, I'm like, I forgot to charge it. So this is my go-to, which is the the Epix Pro. Is not even Epix Gen 2, not the Pro, which is the one that I bought myself, another one that Garmin sent. And I just noticed that Garmin sent released the Phoenix 8, which is awesome because it's got this sort of OLED. Let me just show you here. This is
Yep.
the old, oops.
Mm-hmm. We
It's
got
got
it.
this OLED screen, which is great. Even though it's got that, it lasts 7-8 days, right? The battery, so it's awesome.
What sort of price point are they at?
This one I paid 650, so not
Oh,
too
so they're
bad.
similar kind of money.
Yeah, this is a small one as well. The one I was using that Garmin let me use, the Epix Pro Gen 2, Sapphire, whatever, for solo. Yeah, that's $1,000, but it's also like the battery lasts a month and it's 20 odd days. Yeah, insane. It's got lots of cool things in there for like GPS tracking and all that, very accurate things. But the new one looks insane, and I'm hoping that I can get one before the Apple whatever the Apple new watch will be.
Well, they're
Assuming
talking
they,
about.
because I think they are
I
bringing
think
one
there's a
now.
Watch 10, I think, coming out, and there's talk also of a Watch Ultra 3.
Yeah, so,
I mean, I'd love to get my obvious one would be to get an Ultra. Having never bought one, personally, I'd like to use it, and I think I could probably make. I've never made content on a watch. I'd have to sit back and watch some
it's
of
a
your
beautiful
videos.
I mean, I skipped Watch Ultra 2.
Yeah,
And I
right.
think
Yeah,
I did the right thing there because there's absolutely no difference. Same battery as well, which is like, why would he launch a new watch knowing that the battery was a bit of, at least for me, it's a bit of a limitation. Why would they not improve it? Still 72. Was it 72? Yeah, if you really go like battery saving mode or whatever,
yeah.
they say 72 hours. Or maybe it's 36 even. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's just not good enough, I think. If they did launch a Watch Ultra 3, I don't care about the features so much. I would
Battery.
want to see a better battery life. I mean, take it to 4 days, 5 days, and I'll be
Presumably
getting it.
be a newer chip with, I assume, be the 3 nanometers. So I mean, everything should lean towards it being a better battery life. Whether it ever get to 3 days, which is what you say you're getting out of the Garmin's, which are just insane. To think about not putting a
Garmin's
device on.
is a week at least. I mean, these
Wow.
things, even though even the OLED ones,
Yeah.
it's 7-8 days, no problem. Even when I'm fully active and like going to the gym every day, it does last that long.
I mean, I was just thinking of the shopping list that's going to be coming along in a few weeks' time, because it's weird. This year, I feel like I'm fully immersed now in the creator space. I kind of
Yeah.
feel like I've joined you in kind of knowing what's coming up. And I'm thinking, well, last year I just bought a phone, but now I'm thinking, okay, AirPods 4, if they come out with silicon tips, that's a no-brainer. I should probably get them. So that's 250 quid or 100, 200 quid. The iPhone, 1,300 quid. iPad mini,
It's crazy.
300
It's
quid.
not just the cost, right? I mean, the cost is obviously a big
And then,
consideration, but we can sort of, as sponsors start to help out and kind of come back for more sponsorship, you do build relationships that kind of make sense for you to invest in the device because you are making some money back on the videos. However, time is the other issue,
of
right?
course,
I had to consciously, and I did this for the last 2 years, not buy the Pixel Pro
because you knew.
at launch, because I mean, I think last year I did actually buy at launch, but didn't make a video until October.
Because you said on the
This
last
year I was like,
podcast that the all Pixel videos don't do particularly well, certainly compared to the iPhone videos.
they do okay, but it's the return on investment, right? As a creator, like you're saying, right? You paying whatever it is, whatever it is, might be at least 1,000, right? S- and you're gonna get 10, 15,000 views in my case. And I did I mean, it was a huge effort last year. I did a comparison with the iPhone. I think I did a 3-way comparison. I went to town on it, and it was an awesome video. Everyone liked it. Lots of subs from it, but it's like no one's is like clamoring for my reviews on the Pixel, and that was always, regardless of what's happened with Mr. Who's the Boss, and it was like on things saying, can I have a freebie, please? Otherwise, I'm gonna shit on you on Twitter, sort of thing. I was already kind of getting some noise from the UK based content creators, not getting a lot of love from Google either. So I'm like, well, that on top of everything else, I'm like, I wouldn't be able to do a review now, but I will. I do love Pixel. Since the Pixel 6 Pro, I've been getting them, and I
Yeah,
do miss it.
I've just given mine over now. My daughter's boyfriend's now got that because it was sitting here doing nothing. I saw he had a
Mm.
Google Pixel. I thought it's stupid. Yours is absolutely, Anyway, I really did enjoy using it, but as you know, I've made the decision not only for me, but I've gone, as you know, totally into the Apple space. And the reason I did that, I think, is because it was genuine. I'm not saying for 1 minute there's anything wrong with Samsungs or Googles. They're great, but I don't enjoy them as much or know about them as much. So if I'm making content, I think it
Yeah,
comes through if you're
exactly.
using something. And that's where you begin to find out the things and niggles, isn't it? When you're using something every day, oh, shit, that
Yeah,
doesn't work.
and Daniel's not here, but he would say the same for him, right?
Exactly.
He's
That's
like, it's probably not that he wouldn't enjoy some aspects of the iPhone,
of
but I
course.
would imagine
But
it
he
doesn't
knows
make sense for him because he truly doesn't enjoy that
exactly.
device.
Yeah.
It'd be some things would be good, but he's like, yeah. For me, it's different because I from the outset, I was always a little bit varied and trying different things. So it makes sense for me to be more spread out in the
It does.
content. But
And
yeah.
clearly it helps. I mean, I've been through the summer now with not an awful lot to talk about because when you're in that one space, you're kind of waiting on the next
Yeah,
event and
it helps and it hinders too because
it does.
you feel a little bit overwhelmed. I mean, I was showing you the Xperia, which I absolutely love, but I
Would
haven't done
that
my follow up 1 month, 2 months. I haven't done anything after my initial review,
would
which
ever
is a
that
shame because
be your daily phone? Could you ever see that as being the phone that you'd go to out of choice over the Samsung? 'Cause you're still on the S24 Ultra, aren't you?
I can see it. I can see, for example, if the iPhone was not coming out for another 3 months, I could see me using this and the Fold
Yep.
instead. And this is the reality, because I was thinking about it the other day. The S24 Ultra is not doing it for me this year. It's Let me rephrase that a little bit. I'm having a few issues with it. That is kind of thinking it's not as bad as the S22 Ultra, because that for me just did not work. It had a different chipset as well, but this has got the best display I've ever seen on any smartphone. Like, it's epic. This display on the S24 Ultra is insane. All the the performance and everything's great. The only thing that is annoying, and is similar to the watch, is the battery. It's just, I've been caught way too many times, and it's just for a device at this level, it shouldn't be happening.
Which phone's got your SIM in it at the moment then? The S24 Ultra
It
still
is
at the
the
moment?
S24 Ultra still, because most of my banking apps are still there, all the authenticators. And there's a bit of I'm gonna have to
It's
take like a half a day off just to kind of move
yeah,
everything away. But
yeah.
my other SIM card I've got to is on the Fold 6. But yeah, the iPhone, like I said, is kind of on the side, not being used, and the Xperia is the one I use sometimes in the evening, to chill, or kind of, because I just love everything about it. It's just nice display. It's a nice aspect ratio as well for content. I like the fact that it's a little bit narrower. It's
What's
almost like a fold when it's closed. You know, that same sort of aspect ratio.
what's the battery life on the Sony?
Yeah, great. 71% right now. I think it was 100% last night. So I haven't
Wow.
charged it this morning.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, again, there's no SIM card on this one either. But yeah, it's just nice for
Mm,
video, for especially for photos, because you know the pro mode on this. So I took it to Bath here
mm-hmm,
in the west of England a couple of
mm,
days ago. Took a few shots in there because I'm doing like a street photography video and accessories for that sort of stuff. Yeah, and I took 4 phones with me: the Xperia, the S24 Ultra, the Fold, and the iPhone. And the one I kept going to for quick shots was the Xperia. It's just made for that sort of stuff, you
Well,
know?
I got my hands on it when we were together in Windsor, and it felt so premium, and I
Yeah.
love the interface. I mean, the camera side of it just looks like you're using a camera.
There are things that annoy me about it. Like it doesn't have its own photo gallery app. So you're
Mm,
forced to use Google Photos, which I happen to like is the app that I've got on all my devices. It
mm,
makes life easier as well if you're switching ecosystems. But yeah, sometimes you don't want to go to Google Photos. You just want to go to whatever's on the device, right?
absolutely, yeah.
So yeah, there's a few things, a few quirks like that. But I like where they're going. I mean, they're kind of trying to. I think the Xperia 5 was more like a niche, very like almost like a photographer's backup camera, whereas now they made changes to the photo camera, so to the camera app itself to make it more approachable. So it doesn't feel too daunting for regular folk. So I like it. I mean, yeah, like I said, it would be. It's got a headphone jack as well, so it's got a few things that you appreciate, and yeah, you kind of we learn to take it for granted. But it's nice that it's there.
It was. I was watching something on TV last night, and it was kind of almost a semi behind the scenes of how things were done on a production set. And it's interesting that they were actually using an iPhone as the reference camera, which I found interesting.
Hmm.
They could have
Hmm.
bought anything, and they'd had it in a cage, and it was properly set. But it was interesting. They were looking at the rush shots on that. The establishing shots and so on, just on the iPhone. These things. I mean, all of these phones now are just so. Getting back to what we talked about earlier on, kind of pro
Mm.
level
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you can use them in that environment, can't you?
The color accuracy and yeah, the fact, yeah, it is totally possible. The iPad is perfect for that sort of reference as a reference monitor. But
Also,
yeah.
I haven't even sprung this idea on you yet, so it's coming to you live as well. I'm thinking sometime after the first couple of weeks, madness has died down. I might head up your way with the iPad and we'll do a multicam shot together. Because when we were together in
Mm,
Windsor, I didn't realise how much it helped working with another creator. Because
yes.
when you pick up somebody's phone and shoot for them, you kind of know what they need.
Yeah.
So I just think we should actually get together and do a
Yeah,
day up
I
in your
feel
neck of the
that. I mean,
woods.
even though I had my family with me in Bath, you know, it's not the same, right? I can't. The
Yeah.
best I could do is say, "Can you just look after the camera?" That's at least something, right?
Yeah,
But
whereas I can throw you the phone and you'll get exactly the over the shoulder shots I need,
yeah,
and the close ups of the hand. We know
exactly.
what each other are looking for, so I'm
Yeah,
going to be
it's
doing
more than
that.
a tripod, right?
Yeah, I'll be heading your way to do that. I'm going to be heading up that way. So yeah, so the Apple event then Monday the 9th, obviously you'll be watching it live. The meeting I just had before this wants me to get a video out same night if I can, so I'm going to try and get content out straight after that event.
Hmm.
And it looks like it could be an expensive event for me. And looking a few months down the line, there seems to be very strong rumours we're getting a 16 SE this year as well. So
Mm.
assuming that I've been lucky and had a couple of sponsors help me out in those interim months, I think I might pick up the 16 SE as well to
Yeah,
compare the most premium to the lowest level and just sort of see what they feel like, compare. I think that can make quite interesting content and a genuine comparison as well.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, that's. I'm always looking forward. I mean, the Apple events are always polished and cool to watch as
And it will
well.
be
So I
shot on
kind of
iPhone. We know that. It will be shot on iPhone for sure.
yeah, there's that too. But I just like the music, the stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know the last event. What was it? The last event that they did
It was
was it the iPad?
WWDC, wasn't it?
Yeah, that one was a bit of a miss for me. That
Well, it's
they
always a bit
went a
more
bit.
technically, isn't it? Because it's more sort of the
Yeah.
developers thing. Once you've got over whichever product it is coming along. Something else I just
Mm,
wanted to sound off on you. There's a video I'm making at the moment, which is about 6 months with the MacBook Air.
mm,
And in that, I kind of mused at the end, my M1 Max MacBook Pro is probably the slowest. I'm not saying it's slow, but
mm.
the slowest of the devices I've got.
Yeah.
Oh, with M4s coming out, should I think about replacing it? And I thought, do I ever need to buy a Pro device again? Because
Mm.
I can easily video edit on that MacBook Air. I can put my plugins on there. I can do everything I need, hook it up to an external display. You know, and I'm thinking now, if I get an M4 Mini
Mm.
Ultra or M4 Mini Pro, probably going to do all I need. I don't
Yeah,
do
I
anything more
mean,
stressful than video
and some.
editing.
I still use the M1 Max MacBook Pro.
That's what I'm on. Yeah,
Absolutely no issues.
yeah.
I was tempted to get the M3. Not gonna lie, but it's like, yeah, I'm sweating the asset for sure on this one. I'm not upgrading to Sonoma because I felt for it could be a conspiracy thing, but whenever the new OS
OS
comes
comes out.
out, yeah, every time I upgrade it, it slows it down. So
Oh,
I'm leaving it as it is, updating security stuff, but not
100%
upgrading the OS.
apps open quicker on the M3 Air than they do on my M1 Max. 100%.
Mm. Yeah,
Even the native ones, numbers, pages, they all just on the M3 bang. That new Apple Silicon is so
yeah,
much quicker. But also changing your main workstation is a proper pain. I wouldn't know
it
where to
is.
start with Final Cut,
Yeah,
for instance. I know you have to kind of back it, but that looks like a pain. Just even moving Final Cut over.
yeah. I mean, that my export times, even though I'm exporting really like log footage, several layers of 4K, lots of effects, it's less than 10 minutes.
Mm, mm,
So it's almost like a one-to-one. If it's a 15-minute video, it's less than one-to-one. Actually,
yeah,
it will
same.
take 10 minutes to export.
Mm.
So if that, sometimes it's quicker. I'm thinking, to go from that to maybe 5-6 minutes, is it really going to make a world of difference to me? No.
No,
I mean, my internet speed would probably be a more beneficial change than the new Mac. But
it's absolutely, yeah.
yeah, when it starts falling over and crashing and beach balls coming up, then I'll think about it. But as it is right now, it's perfect.
Doing its job. So probably a good time to begin to switch over to the YouTube side of things. I know there's some
Yes.
things that you're going to pretty much take the steer on that you've been looking at and talking about. So why don't you start off with what's been on your
Yeah,
mind?
just a mention to something that we discussed here before in a lot of detail, and I've done a big experiment. I don't remember when it was, but it felt like it was before the summer,
Mm.
where I tried the promote feature
Within
and
YouTube,
how. Yes,
Google's version.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and we discovered that depending on how you do it, you basically getting YouTube to seemingly farm out views that don't look genuine to me anyway. I posted it on Twitter and they came back and said, oh, not YouTube themselves, but lots of people in that sort of YouTubey support creator group or niche. One of them said that, that's because they send it to countries like India and they mass subscribe. So you get lots of subscribers and views. I'm like, but when you look at retention, they're not really views. I mean, it's
Mm,
literally, it kills your retention like
mm, mm,
completely.
mm.
And we've been following very closely lots of different creators, different in the tech space. Granted, I haven't really looked at other niches, but it seems that everyone, almost everyone, like there's very rare that I see a channel that's doing well without doing this. But you see, like, especially if it's a sponsor, like a dedicated video, 9 times out of 10, if the video got like more than 50K views, you can
Guarantee.
guarantee
Yeah.
when you go to view stats, you will see that there's a promotion going on because you see the video didn't start well. And then they go, crap, that's not going to look good for the sponsors. So they go, boom, give you a couple hundred quid or whatever. And recently, I've learned that anyone can sponsor your video. It's not sponsor a video, but promote your video as well. So the brands can do it for you, and that can be part of the discussion, right? Because they think, well, the video is not doing well. I advise the brands most of the time. Say, look,
Is that open knowledge? They know that a dedicated
not all of
video,
them.
right?
No, and some of them will be sneaky, and I've had to delete a video
You said
completely,
about
and
yeah,
other creators, right, where the brand didn't tell me, and they sent like fake views, like
of
they
the
were
bot farms and
definitely
stuff.
like
Yeah, yeah,
bots.
yeah.
And that's like it doesn't show up as YouTube advertising as the
Mm,
source of the views. Whereas this is more official. Some brands will say, we can help you boost your views by using promote. And I'd say, it's very dangerous to do anything like that, right? But if you look at the there's a video I'm going to share which shows someone shared it with me in this WhatsApp groups, and I watched it. I was like, oh right, there are multiple,
Is that the
4 or
one
5
that you
different
sent the
ways.
link through on our group? Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
watched
one.
that. Yeah.
It's basically someone who tried every single way you could buy views, like the illegal ways, all the way to using YouTube promote, and the different ways you can use Google Ads and things like that. So yeah, there are definitely things that was a bit of an eye opener for me, that shows that even though they've done that, it didn't kill. It killed retention in all cases, but it didn't kill the organic views afterwards when the promotion ended, which is
Question:
not what we see normally. Right? Normally, we see I'm huge after the promotion ends. You see this massive flat line in most videos.
if
Um,
you pay Google to promote, do you earn the money off AdSense as well?
I don't know. I don't know, to be honest.
Because that would almost be
Well,
like a
this is the
win.
thing, right? Because
You'd
they're
get
not
your money
being
back,
watched.
wouldn't you?
They're not even being watched for more than 30 seconds. That's the thing,
Right.
right? That they're being counted as views, and that's my problem with it. My general problem with it is that it's a ass about face, right? Because the sponsor might be looking at it and go, right, you got 150,000 views. In some cases, like 200, 500,000. Some huge, like multi-million subscriber channel. And they're getting hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views, but they can't be converting to anything
Any
other
sales?
than
Yeah.
making a nice report at the end of the marketing report for an exec to go, right, we got this many views. But did your product even get shown in that video? Did the viewer even
Get as far
realize
as
that this was a? So I'm thinking at some point, brands and sponsors will start realizing that they're not getting the return. But right now, it seems to be a way of creators just to kind of game the system a little bit. It's a
yeah,
shame.
because it is. I mean, and it seems since you've highlighted to me, and I look through channels now, you can spot them a mile
Everyone's
out.
doing it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You realize you can't beat them. You got to join them, kind of thing. It's become part of the beast. If you're getting a sponsor to pay and you've got a few quid spare left in the bank, you think, well, okay, if that's what they're doing. And I had a sponsor walk away from me a couple of weeks back saying that my average views were, I don't know, 8,000-9,000 or something.
It does impact
And
every single.
That's
They
all
will
they
look
look
at
at.
your
Views.
they will look at your recent videos, and it's a shame, right? Because the views and the comments and the engagement that you're getting are genuine.
Exactly that.
But I do start to see the point of for dedicated videos, if the brand is helping you push it and it's official and it's kind of not damaging the future views or the growth. So the fact that, for example, I did the iPad video last week, and I think I did my fold video did okay. So I think that there are signs that even though we've used the promote button a couple of times, it's not really damaging future engagement or future views. The channel is still not
Growing.
fully dependent on that, which is a concern, right? Because you can think as a business, YouTube might go, right, now that they've invested it in this thing, let's not promote that channel
Push them.
anymore
Yeah.
unless they
Yeah.
pay.
Yeah.
So
Because we've
it
seen the
becomes
color
a
of your
bit of a
money
pay to
now.
play thing.
Yeah.
And I can see big channels almost doing that by default now. It's like every video is a bloody dedicated video. And I'm like, well, maybe that's without blaming don't blame the kind of the player, right? Blame the game. But maybe that's the model now for some of these people. They're like, maybe they're retiring from YouTube and they just want to make as many, sponsor deals as possible and then leave. But you can see the comments, right, of the real viewers going, come on, is this like a telesales channel now?
Well, I was just
What are
going
you
to say
doing?
that. Yeah. I mean,
Mm,
again, it's a fine. There's a couple of things I was going to throw in as more sponsors are luckily coming my way now. You
mm.
realise that you can only take on so many before you just become a shopping channel, and that's going to piss your regular viewers off that come to you for honest content. Okay,
Yeah.
there is a fine line. Yes, we all need to earn a living, but I think there has to be that point where you realise that what got you to that point with your viewers was your character, your ability to deliver a story,
Mm.
be honest about whatever it is we're talking about, and not just continually be ramming something down somebody's throat. And
Yeah.
the other point I was going to make, which I kind of alluded to at the top, was I've just done my first dedicated video, and I now realise the problem that causes is that you can spend the normal amount of time we would ever spend, a week, 10 days making a video.
Mm.
It's on client approval. In all of that time, you haven't made another video.
Yeah,
And I got to that point last week. They weren't going to sign off before the weekend. I
it's
could
so
just,
annoying.
and
I've
I
been
had that
there.
video sitting. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
didn't realize that. I thought, and suddenly I can see the weakness. You've spent all that time making one video, which they ended up not making one single change to. But nonetheless, I had to wait until early this week for approval. I didn't have a
It's
video.
really tricky, right? Because there's a stage in which, like in the initial stages with the brand, that they might not be comfortable with you yet. They don't know you yet. But it's like, if when you've done so many videos already, they go like, look at my previous videos, right? You know what you're getting. If you've provided a brief that, if maybe even saw the preview, the draft, that as for fact checking purposes, like make sure that you're not mentioning a number that's wrong or whatever. Then why add that layer of complexity, right? And I'm starting to, with some partners, I'm saying, look, we've done this 3-4 years now.
You know
For
me.
this one, it's just gonna go when it's ready. I'm not gonna waste a single minute on this, especially like right now in tech season. But it takes time to get that to that point, and even today I struggle with that. Yeah, pretty much on a weekly basis.
No, well, again, this is all new to me. As I say, I'm speaking to you now on more of a level footing because I can understand what you've been going through. So, for instance, I've got
Mm,
2 videos coming out in September about iPhone, both sponsored.
mm.
But of course, I now realise I need to get on my toes and get that content, their section made and sent out because otherwise I'm going to be sitting there with iPhone
Exactly,
videos.
and some of them will want to see the entire video. I'm like, no, 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 that's not happening. I'll give you a draft of just your bit, right?
Mm,
Because
mm.
you can't have a say in the rest of the content anyway, right? That's my content. Yes, you can correct me if I say something wrong about the product. But my opinions and my, the look and feel. Someone asked me to remove the background music the other day. I was like, nah,
It's my video.
it's my video. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not doing it.
Question.
I stood my ground. I said, no, I'm not changing anything related to the look and feel of the content. That is how I do
That's your
every
character.
single video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something again just came to mind with this first dedicated video. When you send the video off to the client, do you upload it in full 4K? Because I suddenly, if it was an
I
unscrupulous
do.
client, they
Yeah, I
could
do.
take and run, couldn't they? They
Yeah,
could be using
so
it.
sometimes I add a watermark.
Watermark. Yeah,
Yeah, which is a way of doing it.
that's what I'm thinking of doing.
Um, I don't always do it, to be honest, but I've done it before where it's like I'm not too sure about them, but yeah, they could just upload it on their
That's
own
what I was thinking. I
website.
mean, it's out there now. It was sync.com, and they've been good to deal with. I know Pete
Oh no, I
Matheson's.
use YouTube. I use YouTube.
Yeah, no,
But they could
sorry. It
still
was
download it.
my dedicated video was for that company, and they were brilliant to deal with. And I say, I know other creators have worked with them.
Yeah.
They were fine, so it was nothing underhand. But I suddenly thought, oh, geez, I've just uploaded a full 12-minute video in 4K that they could just take now and never pay me for.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
So,
it has happened after they paid, after the engagement finished. You find your video on their website. It's like, hang on, you never paid for that.
do you
Remember when I?
check? Do you occasionally go back and check then?
No, but
Right.
I've you end up finding, because especially if it's a brand that you worked with before, you sometimes go and check if if they've got a new product or whatever, right? To just kind of keep that relationship going.
Mm,
Yeah, and I
mm,
found it was only like a doorbell company a couple of years ago. So it's like it's not even like a massive video, but
mm.
I always offer as an additional like package, right? So like if you want the rights to the video,
That's extra.
yeah, this is 20, usually 25%,
25%. Yeah.
negotiable, but yeah, 25% per month of the original deal. So yeah, I mean, yeah, some can be quite sneaky in that sense.
Yeah.
But I
I
think,
mean,
going back to kind of the challenges of dealing with sponsors is also to, I mean, the best kind of description that someone gave me, it was actually a fellow YouTuber. He's taking a sabbatical now, and I think we should have him at some point here. His name is Kevin, and Kevin Ross,
in our
and
space.
yeah, he stopped doing videos. I spoke to him a few months ago, and he said, yeah, I'm just taking a break. He's enjoying time with his family and whatever. But he did say something that stuck with me when I had like 5,000 subscribers at the time, and he was on something like 20 or 30, I don't know. But I do remember him saying, every time you do that, every time you use the time in your videos to promote something, is almost like going to your bank, to your savings account. You kind of taking that credibility, you're chipping a
Yeah.
little bit
Yeah.
away at it.
Interesting. Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
a obviously, if you're transparent and you say to them, look, I'm doing this because I've got to fund the channel, the studio, the equipment, there's my time, my effort, every time you take time to create content, especially if this is not your full-time job, right? In our case, it's time that you could be using in your other business. So there's a cost associated with that, right? So I think if you're transparent and you explain to people that this is just how I work, and if you balance it out as well. So I will sometimes, like I did one, I think last weekend or something. I did a video that was like, I just wanted to make a video about it, and I did it. No sponsors, just did a video. And this street photography one is going to be another one. But I want to get to a point where I'm like planning 2-3 months ahead, and I can offer I say, look, this is the video concept. It's already planned out. I think your brand will fit this video perfectly. I want to get
Oh,
to
I
that
see.
point
Yeah, yeah,
rather
yeah.
than just answering the email and say, yeah, I can put you in this video, because it ends up being a break in the video. It's very hard to find this. Sometimes it works out really well where the product is aligned to the content, and that's beautiful, right? Because you can just kind of use a segue in the video, and it's not too distracting. But a lot of the times, like if it's a piece of software, for example, and you're talking about a phone, yeah, it's hard to kind of put a break in the video. So I'm trying to kind of get to a point where we're planning ahead. Just before this podcast, I emailed someone about a Black Friday video in November. So I know I'm going to be making that video. So do you want to be in it? And I want to do that for more
And
videos
this is
way
somebody
in
you've worked with
advance.
in previously, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they responded saying, yeah, we're interested. So I think that's when you start to make this a viable way of working, because otherwise you're just responding to emails, and the emails don't stop, right? They'll only get more and more. You get 5-10 emails a day. Right now it's just crazy.
Yeah.
And
I'm
if you say
finding.
yes to even one of them, you're kind of deviating a little bit from whatever you're planned in making, right? So even if you know you're going to be making iPhone 16 content, a sponsor comes in for a VPN, and like, yeah, I wasn't planning on talking about VPN on that video. So
Yeah.
all of a sudden you've got this opportunity, and you are chipping away at that, at that kind of credibility a little bit,
So
whether we like it or not, right?
far, it's a really good way of looking at it, actually. It's a very good
Mm,
way of looking at it. I mean, I've been lucky so far. I suppose I've been working with sponsors now for maybe 3 months, but I mean, I've been managed to make the videos tailor around. At the moment, I'm bending. I think maybe because I'm a bit of a newbie, I'm almost giving too much, and I'm making sure that the whole video is structured around. I make the one I'm making at the moment very much was
mm,
structured around the sponsor that was in place about a
yeah,
month ago, and I thought,
yeah,
okay, that's how I can make it work, and
mm,
hopefully it fits in very nicely with that video. And
yeah,
I tried, and I am doing that. I'm trying not to do that whole horrible car crash thing, you know, iPhone. Suddenly, let's talk about water softener. I'm trying to
and
actually,
honestly, and it's painful to do, and I've done one last month, and I'm doing another one this month. Those dedicated videos, unfortunately, whether we like it or not, are the ones that pay the most and actually help fund the channel. So I think, like I said, yeah, if you're open and you say that in the community tab, and you use that to say, look, it's going to be a bit of a bump here, a bit of a break in the normal videos, but it's the stuff that we need to do
helping make videos
to
that you'll
help
want
the
to
channel.
enjoy.
But
Yeah.
the other thing is, even though they're dedicated videos, you still go through a vetting process, right? You still look at the product and go, is this something that I truly would actually recommend? Because if it's not, then the audience will see right through it. And I've seen so many people do this, like selling a thing that you don't actually believe in. Um, and that's then, I think that's going a little bit too far. Even though you're getting a lot of money, your credibility is being destroyed, every time. So I think,
Yeah. Good point made. I think we've kind of gone through the main things we were going to talk about, haven't we?
yeah, there was a
Is it?
little retention hack that I discovered,
Oh
that if you
yes,
are
yes,
thinking about doing YouTube videos, starting YouTube videos, have
yes.
started YouTube videos, or even people who have been doing it for a while,
I'm all ears.
there's a little, especially in the tech space. I'm not sure if this works in other industries, but I think it might do. But he's using data, using like a table with data in it. So it might. I've tried it on 5 videos now. I tried it once. I don't know why I did it. I think it was just because it was a test comparing different speeds and stuff. So I did a table, and I put that in, and I noticed this huge spike there. I was like, huh. So people are pausing and whatever. And for the follow-up video, more than a year later, it was my best SSDs video. I
Which
thought, I
I was
wonder what if I use more of those. And you can see every time I use that table, the spikes are there and the retention is great and the video is just doing better than the one originally. So I think I just thought I'll replicate that in more videos.
So
And every
data,
time I saw 5 videos now in the last few months, every time I put a table in there with a bit, obviously it has to be useful, it has to be relevant, it has to be, something that you want people to know. And I think is great. So people don't have to wait the entire video to find out, something that is like, it's not like talking about specs, because I hate doing that too, but it's maybe showing the price and showing how it compares to other devices, showing, like in the latest iPad video, I just used a table showing what iPadOS version will support AI.
yeah,
Very
yeah,
simple, right? It's not crazy. List of iPads, whether it's supported or not, and the spike is there. So I think it's a little bit of a hack, but he adds
you've
the
seen it working.
retention, and retention is such a weird one. It doesn't matter how much we try to tighten the content, right? Try to tighten the script, making sure that you're not repeating yourself, making sure that there's enough B-roll that is keeping the video interesting. That is one that I've used recently and it works. And I know some people are saying maybe dial down the B-roll as well. I've seen some people try that, just kind of have a more personal sort of video. So I'm kind of trying to balance that as well, and have sections of the video where there's no B-roll. It's just me, kind of delivering the point. I haven't seen any kind of differences in there. I think with B-roll or just me talking seems to be similar,
Because a
but
while
I like to
ago,
try that. Yeah.
and looking at your recent videos, you don't seem to be doing it anymore, but I know it's something you're quite keen about, and I still am doing it. It's the throwaway shots. You haven't got a second shot on you with most of your videos at the moment, have you?
It's a time thing. Right now, I mean, I'll show you the list. Let me just check there's no confidential stuff. But yeah, there's an entire list. It won't show on this thing, but this is the videos I need to make this month. I've done 2 out of 16. So I have to be careful with adding another angle, even though it's nice and it's easy enough to edit. It's another time to
Element.
kind of to edit, color, deal with it. It's just it adds a little bit of time. So I will I still have multicam set up sometimes, but it's going to be more, especially in this season, a tech season.
Getting the
Probably not
videos
going to
out.
see that. It's going
Yeah.
to be like one shot, and yeah.
All about the products.
Because again,
Yeah.
it's not like if I go back to videos where I use multiple locations as well. No, the ones that actually do better in terms of engagement, not necessarily views, but huge engagement. The likes are crazy, the subs are crazy. Are the ones when I use copyright music.
Oh, really?
Yeah, all of those videos. It is like, this is why I do this thing. This to hear the feedback when you use music is just insane. It's like, wow, this channel, I can't believe I just found you, and it's usually videos where I use like famous songs. So
Whereas
you're not getting the ad revenue from it.
yep.
You're getting blocked in some countries because YouTube won't show in Russia or whatever for that copyright. There's a risk, obviously, that if the video does really well, that the artist might actually ask you to remove it. So, but it's so far it's been worthwhile. And I think the video that I've got as my showcase video, if you never see my channel and you go there on the page, is the one that is a Sony Xperia one where I used music. If you look at the engagement on that, it's just, it's insane.
So it's not as if you're buying the music through Licked or something like that. You're just using
I'm literally
copyrighted,
just putting
copyright
the
music.
actual song in there.
Right.
YouTube will itself recognize that, and it will show on the description what songs you used. Whether you like it or not, it will add it in there. But yeah, you're not making any money out of it. But I haven't noticed any difference in terms of the first few hours. It behaves the same way as a normal video, but you do get that scary looking copyright flag.
Yeah. Another one.
But
whereas I've gone the other route. I'm not using any music. It seems my viewers are happier when it's just me talking. I know we're probably appealing to slightly different demographic, but I've noticed, my channel started to fly since I dropped the music altogether.
It'd be good to compare, actually, your demographics with mine.
Yeah,
I would imagine
yeah.
there might be the same, but I don't know.
No, we'll have a chat. Maybe in the next pod we can have a look at some of our data like that. Okay, then, my man. So, what are you working on this afternoon?
I've got a batch recorded 4 videos out of the 16. So I'm going to be
Deep in
editing
editing.
till the cows come home, as they say.
I'm going to get into my M3 MacBook Air video, sort of about a third of way through the edit, I think. So that's going to be next on my list, and obviously work on the pod as well. So we'll be back hopefully with 3 wheels on the wagon in 2 weeks' time.
Yes.
Daniel, I hope you're feeling better, my friend. I know you sounded really rough this morning on that message. You sounded really rough, so hope you're feeling better. Thank you as ever for watching. Don't forget, whichever podcast platform you're listening to us on, don't forget to rate and review as well. It does help us out, and thank you for the growth we've had on the podcast channel recently. It really is.
We passed 200.
We have passed 200. Yes, if we had more time, I know we could do more, but we're doing all we can do. So we're here every 2 weeks, as you know. So thanks for watching, listening, and we'll be back with you in a couple of weeks' time. See you soon.
Thank you so much.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers.